friends, welcome back to Sheena's Homestead. Today is a really special day. It is our annual Halloween party and the kids are so excited. We have 30 little kids coming over today and 11 moms, and I want to show you how to throw a cute festive party on a budget. So come along with me today and let me show you my tips and tricks. So the first thing I'm going to make for you today is a 7-layer dip. We are going to make this Halloween themed, so be prepared for spiders and spider webs. It is going to be the cutest thing and you're going to be the hit of the party. So to begin here, we're going to use some refried beans. You just want to scoop them out of your can and get a nice first layer down on your plate. So now we're going to work with our guacamole. This is a really simple and easy dish. The only tip that I have for you that might be a little bit tricky is that sometimes the bottom layers kind of come up with the other ones while you're trying to spread out your newest layer. So just like this, I'm trying to stay really light-handed and glide across the top so that I'm not pulling the beans up with the guacamole, because then it gets kind of messy and that's not the look that we're going for. So you can see I'm just spreading it out nice and easy along the top. So now it is time for our third layer, which is the sour cream. We're going to use this taco seasoning, and I'm not going to use the whole packet. Just going to mix in a couple teaspoons for flavor. If I were making this in its normal large size, I would use the whole container of sour cream and I would use the whole packet of seasoning. But for this, we are just going to use it to create the web, so we actually don't need that much. So just make sure you stir up your spices really well so that there's no dry pockets of spice. We're going to use a sandwich bag, and I like to fold down the top so that I'm not getting anything on the rim there while I'm trying to put the sour cream in, and it also helps to seal it in the end doing it this way. So I just try to scoop all of the sour cream down towards the edge of the bowl. If I had a little helper at this point in time, I might ask somebody to hold it, but I don't, so I am going to just try it myself, and it works out just fine as long as you fold down the top of that bag. I'm trying to keep the sour cream all to one corner because I'm going to use it to pipe out our spider web. So I want to make sure it all stays in one little location there in that one corner. Then you just undo the top of the bag. And now we seal the top and we are ready to clip just a little corner so that we can pipe our sour cream onto our dip. For the spider web, I start off with just making one straight line, and then I'm going to make another one perpendicular to that one. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It is a spider web, and we're just trying to get that effect. People are going to love it no matter what. So I always do these 6 equal parts, and then I begin with the webbing in between. And if you can see closely here, I am just creating like a half circle, and I want to make sure that the middle part of the circle kind of falls to the center, and that's what gives you that great web shape. So now we're going to start on our second little round of our webbing, and you just do your best to keep equal spacing, and you want to continue to have your webbing fall towards the center of your circle, just like this. And then I always begin a third. That really completes the look of the web. Remember that our end product is going to have a lot of the toppings around the outside of our dish on the perimeter there, so we don't need to worry about that. And there we go. And now we are going to work with our olives. So you want to make sure that you buy the olives that are whole. You do know that lots of them come sliced or even chopped, but we want to make sure that we have the whole pitted olive so that we can create the body of our spider. So I'm just going to take a whole olive and split it in half, and that will be our body. You could also leave it whole if you wanted a bigger, chubbier spider. But for this, I am going to just cut them in half. And then you want to take the half that you cut and cut it longwise again, and this will create the legs for your spider. So now we have all of our parts and we are ready to assemble. And what I like to do is I like to take the body of the spiders and kind of place them out first so that I can see what I'm working with. And for this dip, I am going to use 4 spiders. And then you take your little legs. I like to use the thicker part of the olive towards the front and the back set of legs, and keep the skinnier sets of legs for the middle. It just tends to look really cute that way. I will say placing the legs on the spiders is the hardest part of this entire project. And by no means is it something that you can't do, but you just kind of have to have steady fingers when you're placing those legs so that you don't mess up the parts underneath the web that you just spent that time making. So I tried my best to be sure of where I am placing each leg. If you feel like one of your spider legs is too thick, you can just trim it down just like this and make it the size that you need. now our last little spider has come together here, and we are all done. And now for the final touches and our toppings for the side. So here I'm going to use Mexican blend cheese, and I'm just going to sprinkle this on the outside border. You want to make sure that you keep it on the border. You don't want to ruin the pretty work that you just did. So I even let it fall off the plate just to make sure that I'm getting everything on the edge there. I like the cheese to be really thick and kind of puffy so that we get a 3D effect, and it really sets a nice border on the edge, just like that. And then next step we have our cherry tomatoes, and in this mix I have both red cherry tomatoes and an heirloom version. These are sun gold. I still have some growing in my garden. I covered my tomatoes, so we've managed to keep them alive a little bit longer, and I'm really happy about that. And I think that the orange and red is absolutely perfect for this dish. I've never used the orange with it before. I've done this dish many times, but mostly with just red tomatoes. And I love how this is turning out. Last but not least, I chopped up some more olives. I really like the black that's in there. It gives it a nice Halloween look, especially with the orange tomatoes. And I just try to fill in some of the gaps there. And I just think it's a really great addition, and it pulls together the spiders, so it becomes one very complete dish. And there you have it. We are all done. This turned out great. I can't even tell you how many compliments I have gotten year after year on this dish. It is a definite showstopper. Okay, so on to our next dish. Now we are going to make ghost hand pies. I have this cute little cookie cutter. We actually have a pumpkin too. And I am going to fill these hand pies with homemade blackberry jam. I picked the blackberry because it's nice and dark and rich, so when we cut our little holes into the mouth and eyes of our ghost, you'll be able to see the filling come through from underneath. I think it's gonna be super cute. And for this next recipe, I have a little helper. She is dressed as the Scarecrow from The Wizard of Oz. This was her ballet outfit this year for her dance recital, and she is using it to the maximum, right?
Yeah.
So she's gonna help me with these little pies. Let's get started. So here I have some homemade pie crust. Funny story, I actually wanted to use store-bought pie crust just to save me a step in this process. Rob went to Trader Joe's for me a couple days in advance, and they didn't have any, and they were sold out at a lot of their stores. So I never ended up getting any, so I decided to make some myself. It's actually a really easy recipe. I'll link in the comments the recipe that I use, but I'll just tell you really quick that it is 2 cups of flour, 2 sticks of very cold butter, a tablespoon of sugar, and a half teaspoon of salt. And then you can put some ice water in a little dish and add about 6 to 8 tablespoons of that water slowly until all of your pie crust kind of comes together. And the trick is to make a lot of them at once. So I made, I believe, 7 pie crusts the other night when I made this one, just because once everything is out and it's all dirty, it's best just to make as many as you can so that you can use them in your recipes all winter long. So now that we have it all nice and thin, I am going to just start stamping out some of our cookie cutters. I'm using the Ghost and Liliana is using the pumpkin. She's quickly learning that we need to keep the cookie cutters as close to the edge as possible to use as much of the dough as we can. I love these little moments with her, and for her to be able to learn such valuable skills so early on in her life. It definitely does take some extra patience to deal with littles in the kitchen, but it is very worth it. And by the time they are teenagers, they're there to really help you. Angelina is my oldest, and she is fully capable of making quite a few meals and helping me in a very meaningful way. So, coming on down the pipeline, Liliana is the littlest, and she is making great progress at her skills in the kitchen as well. So now here I'm showing you, I'm just using this little funnel. I didn't know what to use to create the eyes and the mouth for the Ghost, and as I was going through my kitchen gadget drawer, I found this funnel and I thought it would be perfect to cut out those eyes, and it actually worked out really well. So now I'm going to take a little bit of the blackberry jam that we canned together this summer and put it just in the middle of this Ghost. I have never made these before this moment, so I am experimenting, and I quickly learned to try and keep all of the pie filling towards the center so that it doesn't just spill out, and it makes it easier to adhere both the top and the bottom together. And then to finish them off, you want to just crimp the ends. I'm going to use a fork here, and it ends up adding a lot of cute detail as the finishing touches to these adorable little hand Ghost pies. And how adorable is that? These turned out super cute. And now we're going to work on some of our pumpkins. So for the pumpkin face, I wasn't as lucky to have little tiny cutouts the way I did for the Ghost. So I just freehand cut with my knife. I just did a couple of triangles for the eyes and then a jaggedy, crooked jack-o'-lantern smile. And I wasn't quite sure how it was going to turn out, but I think they turned out perfectly. And it's funny, the more messy the mouth gets, the cuter the pumpkin turned out to be. So the final step for these little hand pies is an egg wash. So I've got just the white of a chicken egg, and I'm brushing it with a little pastry brush all over the tops of my hand pies. And this will give them a nice glossy finish. It also makes the crust nice and brown. And then we're going to take my thick granulated sugar and just dust the tops with it. The egg wash makes the sugar stick. And not only will it look great, it will taste great too. And these are ready for the oven. Okay, so I have these at going into the oven at 400 degrees. I've never made them before this small, so I'm going to check on them in 10 minutes, but I think that the final time will end up being around 15 minutes. So I will let you know. Okay, so next up we have our sourdough. Sourdough is really inexpensive to make. If you're a homesteader, you probably already have your sourdough starter sitting on your counter, and it needs to be used at least once a week in order to keep that culture alive. I will do a full episode on just sourdough, but for now, let me show you how I make the cutest ever little pumpkin sourdough breads. I have this organic kitchen twine that I use to create this process. So I'm going to use it just like you would wrap a present. I go under the bottom and then I crisscross on top and flip the dough over as quickly as I can. And then I pull tight enough until I can see these little ridges that pop up. And eventually you'll see how it makes it look like a pumpkin. So I do that once, and then I cut a second set, and I do that set the same way as the first, but just dividing those sections in half again. And just like this, you tie in the top. If you want to adjust things, like right here, I'm finding there's a little too much on one side and not on the other, you just undo it real quick and choose a new spot to pull your twine through. And then I just cut off the edges, and eventually we will just put it right in the pot like this. So this is a special sourdough decorating tool that I purchased on Amazon. I'll put a link down below for you to get the same one. It's basically a razor blade on the end of this little stick with a handle, and it allows you to score the top of the bread so that you can create pretty little designs. I'm just doing a leaf pattern in a downward line here, and you'll see how beautiful it is at the end. For the second loaf here, I'm going to do the same thing as the first. I've sped up the speed so that you don't have to watch me in real time. I am basically doing the exact same thing, and this bread ends up being a huge hit at the party. I wish I had made 2 more loaves. It went that quickly, and everybody now wants to learn how to do sourdough too. So I think I have my work cut out for me. We'll definitely do another episode just solely based on sourdough. Okay, so these are both ready to go into the oven. I have the oven set at 550, which is extremely hot. And I've got my 2 Dutch ovens in here. We're gonna take the lids off. And I'm gonna put my bread right in. Okay, put those lids back on. And we are going to let that cook for 20 minutes on that highest heat, and then we are going to take the lid off and turn the heat down to 500, and then we're just going to let the tops bake just nice and crusty brown. Should only take us a couple minutes because of the size of our bread. So that will play by ear, and I'll show you. All right, next up on the list is super simple. It's gonna take us less than 2 minutes to do. And that is mozzarella cheese sticks. It's string cheese, you know, the kind that we used to have when we were a kid in our lunchbox. You take them, and all you have to do is draw a little ghost face on them. So make sure you have yourself a permanent marker, and you go to the back of your cheese, and draw a ghost face. These are super inexpensive. I got them at Aldi. And bam! You're done. Oh my goodness, you guys. Look at these. They turned out even better than I had hoped. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I'm gonna take that out right now. Oh my goodness, yes. It is absolutely perfect. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I want a piece right now. This will be perfect on our little charcuterie board. Ah. All right. So to finish off these ghosts, I just have a cute little pumpkin cup, and I'm going to put all of them in here so that little hands can take them. Absolutely adorable. I love staggering them. So now we're gonna work on our charcuterie board. Charcuterie boards can be really, really inexpensive. Just go to Aldi. They have the best selections and they have the best prices. So I like to start off by chopping up the things that I need. And then next, I bring the assortment of all the things I think I might put on the plate. And that allows me to have sort of like a painter's palette. And I can just kind of design and go through. Oh, and another tip. I always buy the blocked cheese when it comes to Aldi because it's less expensive and I can just chop it up myself. So originally when I was going to make this, I was going to mix in some sweet things too, but as I got going, I noticed we have an orange color theme, so I decided to stick with just vegetables and crackers. So I've got cheese, and then I've got a little layer of crackers here, and then we used some finger carrots. And next I'm going to chop up some bell pepper. And I think it all comes together quite cute. The kids at the party loved the theme and munched a lot of cute vegetables just because they looked adorable. I almost always buy the small variety of bell peppers that come in lots of different colors because I just like how festive they are, and it always adds some brightness to my dishes, and my own kids absolutely love bell pepper. So I always seemed to make sure that they get onto the plate somehow. And this dish came together quite adorably. I ended up using the celery stalk tops as the top of the pumpkin. That wasn't my original intention, and I was going to use the celery on the plate, but this turned out way better, so I decided to put the celery back in the fridge for another time. The kids will snack on it sometime soon, so it won't go to waste, and I think this turned out perfectly. Okay, so we are going to just keep that tray completely vegetables, cheese, and crackers. We've got an orange theme going on, so we're gonna leave that be. And then I'm going to put my bread out just like this so that people can take a little slice. The pumpkin style bread is so nice because it's so easy to pull off a piece. You don't even need a knife. And I am going to put my celery sticks somewhere else because on this tray, we're just going to keep it fun and festive. I got these from Trader Joe's. They're little leaves, and they're so cute. So I'm gonna take, whoops, a nice handful, kind of just fan them out in the corner here to start. These are the absolute cutest chips. They are from Trader Joe's and they have them every year. They look like little maple leaves and oak leaves. I highly suggest you stock up on them. They definitely go fast and you can use them all the way through Thanksgiving. They make for great little chips for appetizers for the whole season. And then I'm using these sourdough pretzels. They are Alessandra's favorite, so just putting these out there. They're perfect for kids to be able to grab one and have a snack. Some of the kids at our party are coming straight from school, so I am sure they will be hungry and will need something filling. So the pretzels are a great idea for that. And then these are little pumpkin spiced cookies. We also got these at Trader Joe's. And again, Alessandra loves these. So this is turning out to be a tray that Alessandra would love to snack from, which is perfect. So I'm just gonna take these little cookies and fan them out next to the pretzels. I like to keep things even on both sides, so I usually do some on one side and then flip and do more on the other side. You can see it looks like a complete mess all around me, but I mentioned the painter's palette. This is how I like to work. I like to have things at my disposal so that I can just grab and create, and ideas come to me as I'm making things. It's the best way for me to work, even though it looks messy at the time. Oh, and on a side note, I did get this giant bag of gummy bears on sale on Amazon. I will put a link to that in the description box below in case you would like to purchase some too. They're not themed, so you can use them for as long as you like and as many different occasions as you like. And then these are completely adorable. They came in this little pumpkin tube that I found from Home Goods. The candies themselves are little sour gummies, and let me tell you, these were a huge hit at the party. I think they were the first candy to go. So as I pulled the pumpkin head out of this candy tube, I decided I was going to use it in the dish as part of the centerpiece, and I just piled the rest of the gummies around it. Next up, I have this caramel corn. I thought that it was a nice little treat. I got it from Home Goods as well. This was only $5.99 for this pack, which they had a lot of other varieties there as well that were much more expensive. And let me tell you, this one was really good. I was trying to keep it neutral so that there wasn't a ton of just candy and pure sugar. I wanted other things there as well. So I think that the caramel corn was a nice little counterpart to all the candy. And this is a little budget saving tip that I have for you. I like to take a package of something and then use it in more than one place. So I used the popcorn on the charcuterie board, but then I also used it in a dish by itself. So we're just using one package of something and we're making it look very abundant, and that is definitely budget friendly. And then here you see me using some Oreos. These are always in our pantry as a treat for the kids. So I didn't buy these specially for our party, which is also a budget-friendly tip. So now I'm just putting the finishing touches in on everything. I've got some Cheetos. It's a really inexpensive snack to buy, and they look so cute for Halloween. And I think we're done with our little dessert charcuterie board. It is so cute. I'm gonna take you around and I'm gonna show you everything because I think we're ready for our party. for following along with me today. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you don't mind, share me with a friend. I would absolutely love and appreciate that. I hope you guys have a great week, and if you're out there hosting, I hope your parties go well too. Don't forget to tune in Wednesday for an Update Wednesday. I've got some really fun stuff for you. Friends, well, that's it for today. I hope you had a good time, and we've got a party to throw, so I will see you later. Bye.